Hello everyone, welcome to the session on files. In the last session we understood how to use the open function, then read from the file, read it into a single variable of the type string, and then what is the significance of file handle, and finally we saw how to count the number of lines. So today in this session we'll try to search a file with certain patterns, and then we'll try to write to a file, that is single string to a file or multiple strings to a file, and then finally we'll see how to create a binary file and then subsequently create a copy of it. Searching through a file. Now when I say searching through a file, what does it mean? We can search for certain patterns in maybe a database, or it could be a big size pool size data, or it could be a file itself. Now searching involves a specific pattern which matches a criteria. Now in this particular example we are going to search through a line and we are going to see whether the pattern starts with the given pattern starts from the is there at the beginning of the line. Now when we say that beginning of the line, we'll call it as, let us say it is a prefix. For example, in this example you can see that this prefix from indicates that it is the beginning of the line. And we can make use of certain methods of search string. Rather we can make use of certain mechanisms. These are called a simple search mechanism, which can be used to find whether my pattern starts with the from. So let us try to understand this with an example. And you know that searching is a very common phenomena which is used many a times or most of the times by the programmers. So let's assume that we are trying to search in a file called as mbox-short, which has been already downloaded from the link which was discussed earlier. I shall just show you the file here in the Explorer window. So this is the file mbox-short. Now if I open this, I can see that it contains all the mails received, and we are interested in finding out the lines we start with from colon, indicating that who is the sender here. So we are trying to extract the sender names from this entire file. A quite useful function. Let us try to do it through the program. Let fh be the variable name, which is file handle, and we are going to open a file, and the file name is mbox-short.txt. Open it in the read mode. So we'll try to use explicitly here the second parameter as well. Of course it is optional. Even if I don't specify, it means the same thing. Now you know that when I am trying to open a file and fh is the file handle, I can browse through the file by using this for line in fh, because fh contains no data, but you can still browse through the fh, which will show me all the possible lines. So this was the thing that was shown to you in the last lecture. So if I print this, if I do only this and print this, I should get entire content. So you can see the entire content has been displayed in the below output window. But now we are not interested in all the content. Now we are only interested in to find wherever the line is starting, that is line dot starts with. This is the method we are going to use. Starts with from and colon, and then only these lines we are supposed to print. So if I do this, now what is the difference that you see? That's all. So we need to run this. Of course there is another this thing, that the last statement would be fh dot, after use of the file I need to close it. Now when I run this, what do I see here is, in the output window, only those lines which contain the or we start with the prefix from. So only those lines are displayed. So very useful program which can allow you to process the file wherein if the file is of this nature where you want to search for a specific pattern. So let us go further into the discussion and see how we can write to a file. Now what is the meaning of writing? Of course it's just contrary to the reading. We are trying to write to the file instead of reading from the file. That is, we are trying to put something into the file. Now you can use the write method to write a single line, or you can use write lines to write a multiple line. Now this is the write method that we are going to use to insert a string in a single line in the text file. That is to write a string to a file. So again, let us go back to the editor and see how we can achieve this. Assume that we are trying to write a sentence, that is, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, to a file which is stored in str1. Now we will try to open a file in the write mode. Let us call this file as, now this is the file adage.txt opened in the write mode. Now we'll try to use the concept of try and accept model, if you can remember, so that it becomes a more structured way of writing a program, and a very appropriate way of doing things, wherein we can catch the errors if at all it gets resulted in during the runtime. Now if you, after this, we are supposed to, let us say we are supposed to write to the file. So we know that the function name is write and then str1. So we'll close this, and then finally we'll try to write a message saying that this was successfully written, that is, the file was created, and then we'll try to close the file here, fh.close. Now this is a good practice. Try inculcating this habit, wherein you can write in the accept part whenever there is an error due to the above block, that is, anything happens, any error happens in the above block, you can say let us call this as file error, and then print this here. Now with this, what happens is a file would get created and we would write what is called as a string to the file. Now when I run this, of course I will get only a message, but we can go and check it out in the Explorer window. Now the file was created successfully. This is the message printed here. But let us go and check in the Explorer window whether the file was really created. You can see here the file adage was created successfully, and the string which was of our interest was returned to it, that is, apple a day keeps the doctor away. Now apart from that, we can even add more sentences, that is, we can append to the file. Now assuming that this file is already created, now we'll try to append to the file. Append means we are trying to add to the end of the file. Now when I append the file, I can make use of a plus, that is, I'm trying to append to the file, but now this time my string, let us call this str2 equals. Now what I have done is, str2 is a make hay while the sun shine. I want to add it to the previous, that is, the end of the file. Now let us have these slashins on both the sides, so that we get a slashin at the beginning and as well as the end of the string. So we'll have a slashin here as well, and then of course the rest of the thing remains same, that is appending, and then str2 you are writing, then a file was appended successfully, close the file, and if there was an error, then accept it. Then we'll run this. The file was appended successfully. Now we'll go and check it out in the Explorer window. Now when I go and see it here, I can see here make hay while the sun shines gets appended to the file successfully. So this is the append mode. Now let us understand some intricacies here. Now for example, if there was an error, how does it catch it? Now I am trying to append to the file, but I am not opened it in the append mode, and I am trying to do something. For example, let us say I have it in the read mode, and I am trying to write to the file. Now when I run this particular file, I get an file error because I am not performing a proper operation here, and immediately at runtime it jumps here and says that it is a error. So this is how you can catch the errors. Not only this, but apart from this, let us say now there are other things. When I am trying to open the file in read write mode, after closing the file, I want to open it again. This could be one approach, that is opening the file again and again displaying the contents. But imagine that if I don't want to close and open again, then I can use a random operation. That is, I can rewind my file to the beginning of the file and then read the file again. So if you can recollect, this was very much done in case of random access to the files in case of C program. Now what are we trying to do is, again, we are not trying to close the file, but we are trying to make use of a function. If you can recollect, similar to fseek, we have a seek function which has two parameters here. The first parameter is the offset, offset there wherein you want to set the file pointer, and the second parameter is the whence value, which is optional. It is not mandatory. I can even say seek 0, it means at the beginning of the file from 0th byte, or if I say 10, that means 10th byte from the beginning of the file. Now if I say comma some offset, that is 0 comma 10 comma 0, that means I am trying to read 10 bytes from the beginning of the file. So the rest of the discussion remains same, that is 0 1 to indicate the whence values as we had seen it in the case of C program. Now when I do this, and now if I say print by reading the entire content of the file fh.read, then it would display the content of the file here itself, what was added to it. Now of course I have added only this same sentence. Now again I am adding the same sentence to that. We just want to test it out whether it really performs by doing this. So when I do this, and of course after reading I want to close it, close the file. So it's a good practice. If you don't close the file, again you may land up into different troubles, so better to do that properly. Now if you can see here, whatever we had added, it has displayed. Now the file was appended successfully. Make hay while the sun shines. Now what do you see here is seek set was set back to the file, and now the file was read again by the function. You may be wondering why we got only the single line display here, because we have opened the file in write mode. But if I do that in a read mode, then not read, append mode, then it would be something like I am trying to append the content of the file to that empty file. Let us say this is my str1, and now if I write two sentences like str2 here and then subsequently str1 also here, so 1 followed by 2 of course, and then if I try to read it, then I am trying to append to the existing file. Of course the first time the file that was created was with make hay while the sunshine. Now when if I run this, I would get something like this: make hay while the sunshine, then apple a day again got added, and then make hay again got added. So this is how I can read the file by using this seek and read functions. You can even check it out, what is my current position of the file pointer, that is by using fh.tell, like we had used it in the case of C program, ftell. It tells me the current position of the pointer. When I run this, it tells me what is the number of characters it is pointing to. So it will display again entire content of the file by appending so many lines, and then it will say 176 as the character number. Not only this, you can write multiple lines to the file. Let us see with small discussion how we can write multiple lines to the. So we have another function here that is write lines method, which allows you to write more than one line. And when you are supposed to write more than one line, you know that there could be more than one item also, so we can call this as more than one item. And you know that whenever you have more than item kind of a thing, this is a data structure which is a list. So we can treat this as a list, that is we can add it to the list, and you can add this list to the file. So this is what is shown in the slide here, that is file handle.writelines lst. So lst happens to be the list which contains the multiple strings, or it could be the items. Now if you have multiple lines here, then you can add those lines to the list and then subsequently add it to the file. So let us see with a demo, so it gives you better understanding. For example, to insert a list containing multiple strings into a file, let us assume that the strings are these three strings, that is s1, s2, s3, and we need to add it to the file. So how do I add these three strings? By using the list concepts. Now these three sentences are added here. Now we'll try to add it to the list. lst is our list. We'll call it as s1, s2, s3. So these three get added to the list. Now we are supposed to add this to the list. You know that you can browse through the list, that is these items or the lines, you can call them as the lines itself, line in lst. So these I am browsing through the list now, and as I am browsing through the list, I have to add it to the file. So to add it to the file, I need to open the file. So let us open this file here. We have not opened it, so fh equals open, and we'll call this as proverbs.txt, and then we'll open this, of course, in the write plus mode, that is we want to read it again whatever we had written, and then we'll try to add it, fh.writ bracket. Each time we want to add this line which is of the part of the list, and once you add the entire thing, then you can again reset your file pointer. You know that fh.seek can be used to reset the file pointer at the beginning of the file, and then finally print those print the content of this fh dot the read line or lines. Now let me tell you this, what is the difference between read and read line. I introduce this, what is the concept here. When I say read line, it reads only single line till the end of the new line character, till it encounters the new line character, that is nothing but the \n. Now when I execute this, let us see what happens. Now when I run this, I would get only a single line, that is because of this read line, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Although we have added 3 things, because it is pointing only to the first line. Now if I want to display the entire content of the file, then I can say read lines. So when I just change it to lines, see what happens. Now you see the entire content in the form of list, because it is in the square brackets, and each line is separated by a comma and a \n. So you can make use of this concept of writing multiple lines to the file. So with this note, let us now try to understand the next concept and the last concept, called as a binary file. Now we know that whenever you want supposed to open a binary file, we must specify the second parameter, that is b, which indicates binary, and which mode, that is followed by r or w or whatever, plus the supplementary web operation, that is r plus, indicating that we are supposed to open the binary file in the read write mode. Now what are we trying to do with this example is, you already know of course binary, but a binary file, how does it differ from a text file is, the entire operation that takes place on a binary file is in the terms of bytes, that is zeros and ones. So in this example, we are trying to create a copy of a binary file. Now what are we trying to do is, we are trying to create a copy of an image, let us say the cover page of a book. I shall show you the cover page here, called as cover. The cover page here, that is cover3.jpg. Now we are trying to create another copy of this cover page, which is a cover page of, in fact, the book called as Python for Everybody. Now we'll try to write the code using the binary file, because JPG can be treated as a binary file. Now we'll try to open 2 files here. One is let us call this as fh1, which is cover3, the original file, in the binary read mode, and the second file we'll try to open it in the binary write mode, where we'll call it as cover3 copy.jpg. Now all that we need to do is a very simple operation, that you are trying to transfer the content. Let us call this as a byte into a byte variable, fh.read. I want to read the entire content, hence I am not specified anything, and then I want to write it to the fh.write it to the fh1, in fact this is fh write to the this is fh2, so we'll write the byte into the fh2, and then we'll say the file was you can print a message saying the file was successfully copied. But what is that now what is that we have done is I added a message here, but let me tell you that we are trying to read the entire content from fh1 into a byte in terms of the byte, and the entire content is in terms of byte itself, zeros and ones, and this byte is then transferred, this entire content of the bytes, into fh2. That's all, and it will create a copy of this. Now when I run this, I get a message, file cover3 jpg copied successfully. Now let us go and check it out in the Windows. Now you can see here cover3 copy, that is this file cover3.copy was created successfully. But you can see though the file got created, but there is nothing inside the file. Now what could be the reason is, the reason is because you can guess it, that we have not closed the file fh1.close and similarly fh2.close. So once you close this, then only the contents are properly transferred to the respective files. Now when I do this and then I perform this operation and I run this again, I now go and check it out. Now you can see cover3 copy.jpg got created, and now it is even showing the contents properly. So this is the significance of the operation that we can perform with respect to the files. I hope you understood the session. Now apart from this, there is a small thing that I want to tell you, that this binary file can be used to read bytes by specifying the byte size here. So I shall show you the part as far as the code is concerned through the. Now this code tells you that there are two files which I have opened, the same files, but here it is fh2. Now we can specify the number of bytes to be read using this read1, or you can specify the size while in the loop. Let us say while on byte means this keeps on reading the file, the same operation, but it is reading byte by byte. By internally it is reading, inside the loop it is reading 8192 bytes, some size. Need not worry about how the size has come. You can even specify 1024 based on this the size of the file, and then print the bytes, write it to the fh2 here. Now this keeps on reading until the byte goes false, that is it does not find the empty byte. So moment it comes across an empty byte, it will have a space there. It could be compared with the bit b space, or it can be compared with b while byte, meaning it is as long as byte is not false, keep on writing to the file. So this is how you can do it, and finally close the file. So this is another way of doing the same program using the looping construct, wherein the size can be specified. I hope you understood the concept. So with this we'll end the session here on the files, and as far as the unit 5 is also concerned, it is completed at this point of time and your entire syllabus. But of course in the next session I shall try to take up the problems related to the based on the concept of data structures, and we'll see how we can apply the concept that we have learned. So with this note we'll end this session here. Thank you one and all, and have a good day and a safe day.